left my country of birth. But why? This is a bit of my story. Good morning, everyone. What a lovely, lovely sunny day in Mumbai, Lincolnshire. So, not too cold, not windy, well, a little bit of wind, but absolutely so much settled than the last couple of 4 or 5 days. So, as you can see, lovely blue skies, birds. Well, there's a bit of cloud there, but otherwise, it's absolutely gorgeous day. So this little video is just something personal, and I thought about it. I thought, you know what? Why not share with the viewers? As you know, or if you don't know, I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and I lived there for over 40 years and, made the decision to come and live made the decision to come and live in England. So I'm just going to tell you, there's about, I would say, 2 or 3 reasons why we came, and just to let you know how I feel, is there any regrets and things like that, and what it meant for us as, for me personally, how I feel about the changes and why we came to that decision. So I hope you'll enjoy that little chat. And what I'm hoping to do, if that's, if you want me to continue, is I'll just give you a bit more of how I grew up, what the country means, how it's changed me as a person, and more how it's changed me as a person. And besides the first 2 or 3 reasons that I'll be giving to you, there's a whole long story behind what else culminated in us making this decision. And you know what? I feel privileged and honored, because I know there's loads and loads, millions of people who went through and still going through what we went through, still experiencing and or experience what we've experienced. But for me, it's a privilege. And if I know, just thinking of how I grew up, how our lifestyle was, I won't say we come from poverty, but we were poor. We were poor, but you know what? We lived a really, really fantastic life. I wouldn't even swap it for anything in the world, because that has molded me and made me the person that I are today. And it does allow me to stay humble, irrespective of what I achieved and things like that. So I'm just going to give you a little story of how we came to the decision to come to the UK, and then later on I'll tell you some of the experiences and things that we've gone through while we were living in South Africa. So it was what you would call a war romance that ended in sadness as well, but also happiness for another family. So my grandfather, maternal grandfather, he served in the Royal Navy, and he was based at Simonstown, which is a naval base, during the Second World War. And he met a lovely South African girl he fell in love with, and then he married the South African girl, and then in 1944, June 1944, my mum was born. And sadly, her mother passed away a month later. So, dilemma. So we had a British citizen during the war having a month-old baby, far away from home. Obviously, he didn't know what to do. And he then, yes, we were close to coming to the end of the war, but in June, um, you know, there wasn't a real clear vision of what was going to happen, and how things were going to change. And but just to cut a long story short, my grandfather then gave my mum up for adoption, and she was adopted by a lovely South African couple. And my grandfather, as I know, the grandfather that I know, he served in the military as well. So somehow he must have had some met up with him somewhere, I don't know. But yeah, so my mom was adopted by this lovely couple. For years and years, we never really, thought about it and things like that. As we got older, and I think my brother started it off in 94, 95, he said, Mom and Dad, you know what? Let's try and find out a bit of ancestry, or your maternal dad's place of birth and where you grew up, because when my grandfather returned back from the war, he didn't go back to Guernsey. Well, even before he went into the military, he was living in England already. So my brother said, you know what, England sounds like a nice place. And years ago, youngsters went to go abroad, and they worked and stayed in England for a year. So this is what my brother done. So he left in December 95, and he came and worked in London for a year, 96. And obviously he was showing us pictures, and he was traveling across the world and working in different places. Well, he worked in one place in Oxford for quite a long time, in a hotel. So, it sort of fascinated me, and I love history. I absolutely love history. So I started looking more into the history of England, and I started looking at all the historic buildings and how history was all about, and it just really fascinated me. And ever since he came back, it always had in the back of my mind, he was always there thinking, that sounds very interesting. But obviously it took me only 8 years later to come and visit London. For us was better quality of life, safety. It all, well, for me personally, it started in 2004. Although we've always spoken about it, but in 2004 I came on holiday to London, 5 weeks, and do you know what? I've never felt so free in forever, I would say. For me was I could visit places whenever I wanted to. I could visit different places, and I could visit them whenever I wanted to. For me, I wasn't limited by time. And the first week, it was just me and my youngest daughter. I think she was about 10, 11. And the fact that we were traveling at 11, 12 at night, and we were just visiting so many places, and And funny enough, we came in December, so obviously that's the coldest time, or winter time in London, where it's summer in South Africa. Because I remember the day when we left, it was such a hot day, because we were at the airport at 5 and we had breakfast, and I can remember us sitting down, looking out the window, watching the planes coming in, and the sun was shining. It was absolutely. And when we landed in London in the evening, it was so cold. It was a shock to the system. But you know what? It was easy. Everything was just simple. And so, yeah, so the 5 weeks, a week later, my sister and brother and nephew uh, joined. So we were a nice little group, but we just went out everywhere. We done everything. We didn't care about where we went, what time of the day we went, uh, what type of transport we used, and what time we got home. So after the 5 weeks, came back, went back to work, and then I picked up the phone and I said to my mum and dad, guess what? We're moving to the UK. But as I said, once I came back after that 5 weeks, my mind was made up. We're moving to London. So obviously I spoke to my parents and I said to them, this is what I want to do. Would you be interested? And my dad said, yes, he's retiring soon. Why not? Let's have a look. Because my mom and dad in 2001, they went to America, and then on their way back home, they stayed in London for a week. So yes, he said, you know what, I really loved it. It was nice. We enjoyed it. Remember, they came in summer, and it was like 30 degrees. I think it was one of the hottest summers in a long time. So I said, okay, don't worry. What I'm going to do is get all the paperwork together. So I got hold of somebody and I explained to her, we have a grandfather was born in Guernsey. What's our options if we want to move to, what's our option if we want to move to the United Kingdom? And she obviously said ancestral visa. And she said, obviously, because your mother's father was British, and she and her mum was married, she is legally entitled to become a British citizen. So yeah, so from January till the end of August, we got everything sorted out. My mom and dad, yes, my dad was 66. My mom was, how old was she? 2000. She was almost six. She was 61. They packed up everything, got rid of everything, years of stuff, and it couldn't have been easier, for them. But yeah, so on the 27th of September in 2005, mum and dad, me, my two kids, my sister, her two kids, we all boarded the plane to the United Kingdom, and I helped my mom and dad's. We got settled in, found a place for them. I was struggling a bit to find a job. I think personally I was struggling to settle down. My sister didn't. She got a job. So when it got to my youngest daughter, struggled settling in. My son, he came on a holiday with us because he had to finish his schooling. So he obviously went back after 2 weeks, and because my ex-husband was still there, in South Africa. My daughter, she was struggling a bit to settle in. I was struggling a bit to settle in. I don't know why. And then in 2006, she couldn't settle in school, and she said, "Mom, I want to go home. I want to go home." So I put her on a plane back home to her dad. And then obviously for me it was really difficult. I have both my kids back home in South Africa and me in London. So I told my mom and dad, I'm going to go back. And, you know, but hopefully I've made the right decision for them. Yes, I went back to South Africa in 2006. Settled in, missed my parents, missed my sister. My brother eventually joined. And then I really, really missed all of them. And then my other sister decided that she wants to go to South Africa. My other sister decided she wanted to go to the United Kingdom. So she said she's going, and I was like, it's only me and my brother now left here in South Africa. Then I fell pregnant. I was 40 years old. And I thought, oh my goodness, what did I do now? That's it. It's over for me. I won't be able to go back to the UK now. I missed my family a lot because we were very close. So it was just my brother there. He was like the late comer in the family. I think I was 13 when he was born. So there was quite a big age gap. But while I was coming to the end stage of my pregnancy with my daughter, I thought, you know what? I want to go back. I definitely want to go back, irrespective of what. I wasn't in a very good relationship as well. And I just thought, you know what? I need happiness and I need to do something for me. You know, I had to think of myself. And sorry about that. I had to do something for me to make me happy. And my daughter was born, and then a couple of months later, you know, I basically called my mom and dad like every second, third day. And I had my daughter, you know, she was a little baby, and I had my mom and dad talking to her over the phone and things like that. So it just got so hard for me to do that. And then I had a conversation with my kids, and it just so happened that in 2006 my son was second year of studying electrical engineering, and he came home late one night from studying and he was assaulted. And so my daughter was born in February, and this happened around about August. And as soon as he told us what happened, I phoned my mom and dad and I said, Mom and Dad, I'm sending my son to the UK. And because we obviously still had the ancestral visas, which was valid for 5 years, which means we could still travel. So yes, so in a week of this happening to my son, he was on a plane to the UK, and he went to go live with mom and dad. So it was just me and the two girls back home. So I had a young child. But then I really thought, you know what, Bonita, happiness, you need to find a happy space for you. You have everything here. I had this big, massive house, swimming pool, just really everything was luxury. I had a high earning job. I was earning good money. And, you know, in terms of was I struggling? No. Was I happy? No, I wasn't. So I said to my ex-husband and his family, you know what, I'm moving to the UK. And they all said to me, no, you're not. I said, yes, I'm going. Um, and then in November of 2007, um, I was on a plane with my two girls. My youngest one was 9 months old, and we went to the UK. We came to the UK, and that was it. I've never, well, personally, I've never been back to South Africa. Um, but one of the other things people ask me, they're saying, you gave up a big house, you had this swimming pool, you had a really, really good job. Why did you do that? You come to England, London, and you live in these terrace houses. You have bad weather, so what you know what why did you do that? And I say to them, you know what, I didn't think of the materialistic things. um, for me, that didn't bother me at all. For me, it was my happiness and just a better quality of life for my kids, because of things that I've experienced and what I've gone through. Oh boy, I haven't even started telling you, what, um, in terms of better quality of life and security and feeling safe, um, that I'll keep for another video. Um, so yes, so that's just a short version of, well, one of the main reasons why we came. So yes, we did have the ancestral relationship with, we did have the fact that I had a grandfather was born in Guernsey, which he was a UK citizen, and for better quality of life and security. When we leave South Africa, my mum, she had a British passport, so when we came to land, she obviously went through in no time. And then because we had ancestral visa and we had all South African passports, we had to go through all these health checks and things. And poor mum was waiting on the other side, and she was thinking, oh my goodness, what's happened? And because we were a big group, it took a while to go through all the health checks and things like that, and questions. And so yes, obviously I can imagine woman in her 60s, she's panicking, she's thinking, oh, when, what's happened to the family. But yeah, we eventually all she was happy to see us. I think it must have taken us about 2 hours. So yeah, I can imagine how she felt. Yes, and that's how our journey as a family started in the United Kingdom. And a year later, my sister followed, and then a couple of months later after that, my brother followed. So we, as a close family, mom, dad, two brothers, two sisters, myself, with our kids, we all moved to the UK. So that was it. The family was complete, and we all settled down. We all found you know really good jobs, and we started a new way of living, and none of us regret ever making the decision of coming to the UK. One thing I can say, as a woman, I felt respected. I felt I could do whatever I want in England as a woman. I felt safe. Where in South Africa, I think being a woman, you were extremely, extremely vulnerable. But I hope you enjoyed that little chat. What I'll do is, if it's okay, and I'll see the response from people. I'll give you an idea of, in terms of security, um, how it's affected me, and why I'm saying that's the reason why we've moved. And if you knew how we grew up and where we came from, I don't think in a million years did we ever think we would be living in the United Kingdom. We all have comfortable, decent lives. Not saying we have loads of money in that, but we're living a life that we feel, you know what, right decisions was made. And coming to live full-time van life, uh, my husband grew up in the United Kingdom. It took him a while to come to the thought of what I was thinking. But I said to him, do you know what, when I finally left, in 2007 with my 9-month-old baby and my other daughter, I had one suitcase because it was my clothes and the baby's clothes, and a couple of months later we had some personal things shipped over, and when I opened up my wardrobe as we were looking at coming into van life, I looked at it and I looked around me and I thought, you know what, when I came here, I never thought of, am I going to find a job, where I'm going to live, am I going to have enough clothes? Never, ever thought of that. And when I looked around me and I thought, wow, look at all these things that I've accumulated, and, you know, the stuff that I've accomplished, you know, job, and my kids are doing well. And I thought, wow, I did make the right decision. So for me, doing this van life and making this decision, and I'm not gonna lie, that journey wasn't the easiest of journey. It didn't come, it wasn't just all roses. There was issues, there was ups, and there was lots of low downs. And sitting here today, for me, it was the right decision.